we're honored to have here the founder of St. John Properties out of Baltimore, Edward St. John, the president of the company, Larry Maykrantz, as well as Daniel Thomas, the regional partner for Utah for St. John Properties. And then we also have Val Hale from the Governor's Office of Economic Development. So we're going to ask Daniel to introduce our speakers here and take it from there. Daniel.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, thank you, John. It's an honor to be here, and what a blessing it is to live in this great state of Utah. So we're here today to talk a little bit about a $500 million investment St. John Properties is currently making in the state of Utah. And Governor Herbert doesn't know this, but I can tie our original decision to invest in Utah back to something that he did, and this was something that he did well before he even had heard of a company called St. John Properties. So you see, about 6 years ago, I had a meeting scheduled with Ed and Larry where I was to propose a new location for a new St. John Properties regional office. And I had spent the better part of 2 years researching almost every major market in the United States. And I walked into that meeting with 3 binders full of graphs, charts, stats, articles, anything I could get my hands on to substantiate the recommendation that I was about to make. And so I took the executive summary and I put it in front of Ed and Larry, and right there at the top, it said, "Pack your bags, we're going to Utah." And I think I took them a little bit by surprise. I think Ed had been skiing in Utah maybe 20 years prior, but I think it blindsided him a little bit. So I immediately jumped into some bullet points in the executive summary. The first, at that time, Utah was the 5th fastest growing state in the nation, youngest population, an unemployment rate well below the national average. At that time, it had the 3rd fastest growing GDP in the nation and the 4th fastest growing median income. And the last bullet point on that executive summary, it said, "Best state in the nation for business." And at that time, Forbes had agreed with me 3 times. I think they've agreed a couple more times. And then I brought in Governor Herbert for my closing argument. So at that time, I had got my hands on an article that Val Hale and the Governor's Office of Economic Development had put out. And I'll read the quote here. It says, "Utah's state government has embarked on a comprehensive regulatory reform project. Thus far, Governor Herbert's administration has modified or eliminated 368 regulations that had grown obsolete or carried the potential to be a drag on the state's economy." And I quote Governor Herbert here. He says, "We have an unwavering commitment to unleash the power of the market and power of the companies who make it go." And that was my closing argument. So thank you, Governor Herbert. So after going over those bullet points and reading that quote, I looked up at Ed and Larry and I said, "Well, any thoughts, comments?" And Ed said, "I think we need a regional office in Utah." It took me a little bit by surprise. So I said, "Well, did you just approve my recommendation?" And he goes, I think I did." So after 2 years of research, it took Ed, just hearing those bullet points and hearing that quote, took him 4 minutes to decide that we needed to be here in Utah. So here we are 6 years later, talking about a $500 million investment in the state of Utah. And so with that, it's my honor to announce that St. John Properties has recently acquired for immediate development 2 new projects in the state of Utah. One in the city of Taylorsville, that project's being called Beltway West, and the other in Springville. We're calling that project Spring Point Exchange. I'm also just so delighted to announce that our original acquisition here in Utah was a 21-acre project in Pleasant Grove for a project called Valley Grove. Since our original acquisition 4 years ago, that project has grown 4-fold and now constitutes over 85 acres. And we're going to get into more detail and specifics about those projects here in a minute. But right now, it's my honor to introduce the founder and chairman of St. John Properties, Edward St. John.
Thank you, Daniel, and good morning to everybody. Good morning, Governor Herbert. Great to see you again. I thought I'd give a little history of the company since Daniel has given a little history of us in Utah. My father died when I was 16, and he had been in the development business on a very small scale. And when he died, there were 5 10,000 foot buildings that we were leasing to other people and some other very small companies that he had. And again, I was 16, but I went to college and wanted to go in the Air Force and got a engineering degree for the Air Force. And then my mother came to me and she said, if you don't stop this flying foolishness, I'm going to sell all the companies. And 2 of my fraternity brothers, since I lived with 3 guys in the fraternity house, we went to town hall, and over a 6-pack of beer, we decided I should drop out of the Air Force and take over the companies. And one of them, as I said, had 5 buildings, about 10,000 feet each that we leased. And I enjoyed that business, and I did not enjoy the other 2. So anyway, but I didn't know anything about building. So in 1967, I hooked up with a builder by the name of Leroy Merritt. And Leroy and I always said that Leroy taught me to build, and I taught him what to build. And basically, we started out building some more of these 10,000 foot buildings. So anyway, in 1971, Leroy and I decided to go our own separate ways. And by that time, with my father's 50,000 feet plus what we had built, I had 400,000 feet. And over 49 years, the 400,000 feet is now across 8 states, and it's 20 million square feet. So we did pretty good. And the expansion of our portfolio, we came up with a 4-year program that we in-house, tongue-in-cheek, called the PhD in Development. And just like Daniel went through it, I know it sounds, you have to go and get a college degree, and then you get an MBA, and then you think you're really cool. I mean, you're on the world is your oyster. And you come in here and we say, okay, put on your dungarees. You're going to learn how to do air conditioning on the roofs of the buildings in the hot summer. And you're going to learn how to dig ditches, and you're going to learn how to put tenants in buildings. And then you have 2 years of leasing. And we hope to God then, after 4 years of us teaching them, that they're qualified to make things happen. And they are. And as Daniel has proven, we sent him out to Utah, and my God, he just told you everything we have out there. So now I'd like to introduce Governor Herbert.
Well, thank you, Ed. It's good to see you again. It seems like normally we see each other around dinner at some nice place where we have a bunch of governors together and talking about the future of America. And you and I have an opportunity to talk about the successes of St. John Properties and your involvement with Utah. So it's really great to see you again, and congratulations on what I think is going to be another great investment by you and your company here in Utah. I just listening to Daniel and appreciate the accolades, and I do remember those days 6 years ago. It's not an uncommon story about Utah's emergence as the best place in America for business. As you know, Forbes magazine has named us the best place in business 6 out of the last 8 years. And we've tried to live up to that reputation by making sure that we are very business friendly. We're welcoming to the free market. We understand the importance of having capital invested in our state by those who take the risk and deserve the opportunity to have the reward. We are first and foremost free market capitalists in Utah, and we unfortunately see some of that being forgotten around the country, but not here in Utah. So again, Ed, we appreciate your belief in us and your faith in Utah and its future, and we certainly want to welcome you again in this 2 new projects you're doing here. I was just thinking about what could I say that would be of maybe of importance today. And as I heard Daniel talking, this maybe dates me a little bit, but Ed, you're about my age. So I remember the movie The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman. And one of the fellows came up to Dustin. He just graduated and whispered in his ear, and he said, "Think plastics, think plastics." You know, that's the future. And that was a good word, I guess, for the time. But my word that I want us all to think about is really what I'd say, confidence. Do you have confidence in the future? And if so, where? This is an unprecedented and kind of an uncertain time. And unless people have confidence in the future and confidence in the private sector, confidence in the restaurant that they're going to go eat at, that they're going to be safe during this pandemic time, if people that have capital don't have confidence in where they're going to invest, those things don't happen. So what Utah has done, I think, as well, if not better than any state in America and most places around the world, is instill confidence. This is a great place to invest because we have had regulation reform. We've tried to take, the weeds out of the ditch bank that slow the flow of commerce and make it easier for those who take the risk and invest their hard-earned monies to have a return on that investment and find niches in the marketplace that solves people's problems. Government doesn't do a very good job of that. We're very inefficient and we're very slow. But the private sector steps up and finds niches and opportunities and thinks outside the box and creates economic opportunity, and everybody benefits. It is truly the win-win. It's the secret of America's success. People have been coming to America for years since its inception, not for guarantees, but for opportunity, where they have confidence that they can be the best they can be based on what they think the best is. And we're not all the same. We all have different goals and aspirations, but that opportunity, that confidence we have, I think is really is a hallmark of what's made America great, what's making Utah great. I'll just mention two things. One, we know about this pandemic. It's a situation that is unprecedented, certainly in my lifetime and in the last 100 years. Maybe the only thing close to it's the pandemic of 1918 and with the flu at that time. But this is just unprecedented. We're learning as we go. We're trying to build an airplane as we're flying at 30,000 feet. Some of the parts don't all fit. But Utah has found a way to, in fact, address the public health. We've concentrated on those who are most vulnerable in our population, those over 65, underlying health conditions, and try to isolate them. We've increased our testing opportunities so we can find out who has the pandemic and have the COVID-19 virus, to see what we can do strategically. And consequently, as we've gone into this, we've had great success. Our trends are good, better than most places in the country. We've already been named one of the places that is the best able to withstand this pandemic. And that's because we've, again, done things that would be prudent, like you would do, Ed, in your business. You save for a rainy day. You don't have unnecessary debt. You find efficiency and effectiveness in how you deploy your people and personnel. That's the same thing with Utah. And right now we have fewer state employees than we did back in 2002, 18 years ago. And yet we were servicing, about 1 million more people that call Utah home. That's finding better ways to do things by embracing technology, better processes. And that's instilled confidence in the private sector. And that's why we've grown so rapidly and healthily over this last decade, the most prosperous decade in Utah's history, as we now have the most healthy, diverse economy in America today. That fosters growth. People are coming here. They're attracted because of economic opportunity. They're also attracted by the people and the character and the qualities and policies that we have here. It's just a good place to live and raise a family. So we've done a lot, I think, with the public health and the pandemic. And we've gone now from the urgency phase, which we all were in here. We've color-coded at our plan here. We have the most comprehensive plan and pathway forward to get out of this pandemic, not only providing confidence in healthcare, but also confidence in your livelihood. And both of those are kind of joined together. We have people try to pit, well, it's about the healthcare or it's about the economy. No, it's about both of them. And as finding that right and proper balance. And consequently, we're now gone from red to orange. Most of our state is now in yellow, and green, which is full-blown recovery, which is around the corner now, probably here in the next 4 to 8 weeks. We should be, by this summertime, in full-blown recovery mode. Doesn't mean we'll be back to where we were after this precipitous drop, but we'll be on a trajectory which will be steady and solid, moving. It's not going to be a V recovery, won't be a U recovery. It'll be more like, I've called it the Nike swoosh. That's what our recovery in Utah is going to look like. And I think we will clearly be the fastest recovering state in America, I believe, certainly in the top 2 or 3. So that brings us to the economy. Again, I think healthcare is important, and we're wanting to make sure we have plenty of headroom. We've made sure that our healthcare system will not be overwhelmed by the pandemic. We're in a very, very good position. We've been named, by the way, by Moody's Analytics, as published in Forbes magazine, one of the 10 cities in America that they listed, 2 of them are here in Utah, of the fastest cities, metropolitan areas to recover in America. So they saw our foundation, they saw what we've done and what we're doing, and they say the place that's going to have the fastest recovery is Salt Lake City's metropolitan area, which you're a part of with Taylorsville, and Provo City's metropolitan area, which you're already in Pleasant Grove, and you're going to be down in Springville. So those 2 metropolitan areas, which span from really Ogden on the north down to Spanish Fork on the south, that's where the recovery is going to take place. That's the urbanized area of Utah, and identified as the place fastest recovery in America. So I'm very hopeful, very optimistic, and I have confidence that not only are we taking care of people's health, but we're making sure we take care of the economy too, at the same time, in kind of a common sense way. We've got good policies in place. So as the first governor of Utah, Brigham Young, the territorial governor, said when he brought his flock here into this valley, those early Mormon pioneers, and he said and declared, this is the right place. As the 17th governor of Utah, I can say to you with all sincerity, this is still the right place. It's a great place to live and to raise a family. And it's the best place in America to do business. And we will recover out of this pandemic. So you're very wise, Ed, as we know, by investing your resources here in Utah. And we're just so grateful that you've chosen Utah to invest some additional of your resources. We'll do everything we can to make sure that you're successful as you've been at your Pleasant Grove property in Taylorsville and Springville. So welcome back to Utah, Ed. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, Governor Herbert. Thank you.
Governor, we understand that you need to bug out and go to your next meeting, and Val Hale from the Governor's Office of Economic Development will stick around for our Q&A portion of our meeting. So Governor, thank you for making time for this, and thank you to your task force and Lieutenant Governor Cox, and to yourself for your tireless efforts these last couple of months. We appreciate that so very much. And now if I can turn it back over to Daniel, he'll give us some of the details of the projects.
Great. Thank you. And Val, great to have you with us. Before, I'm going to go into some details about these projects. But before I do that, I just personally want to express some sensitivity to what our current clients, what our current tenants are experiencing. You know, it's not easy out there right now for a lot of them. And we're here to talk about investment and spending and growth. And I just don't want to diminish the challenges that our own clients are going through. And so what we're hoping is that by talking about this investment, that we're providing some hope and some leadership, looking through the current economic and health challenges. We're looking through that and beyond that and providing some leadership. So I just wanted to mention that. So John, should we pull up some slides?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that right now.
Awesome. So we're gonna talk about 3 projects in particular, but before I jump to the first project, I think it's important to note something that's common amongst all of these projects. And that is our LEED certification. right? So St. John Properties now has certified over 70 LEED certified buildings all across the country. And so a lot of these buildings that we're going to be talking about are designed with energy efficient standards. One of the reasons why that is really, really important here in Utah is when we talk about some of the challenges here in Utah, air quality always rises to the top of that list. And Val can tell you when he's trying to recruit out-of-state tenant or out-of-state clients to come to Utah, that air quality issue is a big concern. Buildings produce a lot of emissions. Homes do also, cars do also. But this LEED certification with our buildings helps reduce those emissions and help be a part of the solution of cleaning the air here in Utah. So John, let's go ahead and move to the next slide. We're going to talk about this project in Taylorsville, Beltway West. So locationally, this project sits right off of I-215, about 9 miles south of the airport. It's also about 9 miles from downtown Salt Lake. It's right between the 3500 South exit and the 4700 South exit. And if anybody's familiar with the old American Express campus, that adjoins this property right there, kind of to the left of our project. And recently, actually, the state purchased that facility. It's about a 400,000 square foot facility, and they are in the process of relocating a large workforce to that building. We're excited to have the state as a neighbor there. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about the product type that we're planning on building there. So there's a total of 5 buildings on this 19.5 acre site. We've got 4 single-story office buildings. This product type is actually pretty incredible. I love to build it because it accommodates so many different users. We've got about 119,000 square feet of this we're planning on putting in Taylorsville. This product allows direct access for our clients. It gives them signage and visibility. And in this location, particularly directly off of I-215. And then we have planned 1 multi-story office building, a 6-story office building that's anticipated to be about 155,000 square feet. So in total, one other thing. So this project is parked at 5 per thousand, very adequate parking to meet the demands of the marketplace. And the total investment into this project is anticipated to be about $80 million. Let's go ahead and move to the next project. So the next project is our project in Springville. And this is a project I am actually really, really excited about, mostly because we are bringing a product type that we have done all across the country. It's been very, very successful. It's a really, really important sector of the market. But it's still a little unique here to Utah. So about the project in general, this project is located in Springville. It's directly off of I-15. It's just 1 exit south of the University Avenue exit for Provo. So just 1 tick down from Provo, directly off of I-15. There's 6 buildings that are planned that total about 250,000 square feet, about 225,000 square feet. So John, let's jump over to the next slide. And I want to talk a little bit about what this product is and why we love it. So we call this a flex R&D building. The front of it looks pretty much identical, very similar to our single-story office building. So from the front, it looks good. It looks like an office building. You drive around back, and it has a loading component, drive-in doors, dock doors, a warehousing component. This building has got an 18-foot clear height, so businesses can go in there and do distribution, shipping, light assembly. It really is a product type that hits a lot of users in the marketplace. In fact, Larry, I'm just curious, I don't know if your mic is unmuted yet, but how much of this product do we have all across the country? Is Larry there, John?
Larry, I just unmuted your microphone, so if you could try that answer again, that would be great.
And if we can't get him, that's okay. Maybe Ed knows. Is Ed unmuted?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. We have about 14 million square feet, I think. About 14 million.
And Larry
It's
we
our
can hear
product.
Larry now. We can hear Larry now.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Gotcha, Larry.
Okay, good. Yeah, so our entire portfolio is 20 million square feet. We have 5 million of office, about 12.5 million square feet of flex, 2 million square feet of retail, and 1 million square feet of bulk warehouses.
So Larry, this really has been our bread and butter all across the country. This is a product, I don't want to say unique to St. John Properties, but it's just something that forms the basis of our portfolio and our $3.5 billion valuation. Is that correct?
3.5 billion.
Awesome. So I am super excited to bring this product to Utah. I think it's going to be received really well. And we're planning on starting immediate construction of this project just as soon as we can here in the next couple of weeks. And the estimated project valuation for Spring Point is about $40 million, which we're excited about. So John, let's go ahead and jump to the last project, talk about a little bit about the expansion of our Valley Grove project here in Pleasant Grove. So I think many of you are familiar with this project. It is right off of I-15, Pleasant Grove Boulevard. I call this the heart of Utah County. It's about equidistant from Lehigh in the north and Provo in the south. Utah County is growing so fast, and this project just happens to be right, almost dead center in the middle of that county, and it's been a great project for us. I think one thing to point out is that Pleasant Grove Boulevard there, you can see it's got about 60,000 cars a day. So this is a busy intersection, and it's worth pointing out. We have actually had great cooperation with the state, with Utah Department of Transportation, in making sure that the transportation infrastructure through this area can service not only our project, but the communities beyond this project. It was about a year ago, we actually worked out a sale of additional right-of-way to UDOT so that they could expand. We actually built some additional right-of-way on Pleasant Grove Boulevard for them. And now they actually, because of our cooperation with them, have the right-of-way they need to widen Pleasant Grove Boulevard and North County Boulevard. And the city of Pleasant Grove has been great in cooperating with us and the state on that also. So really good cooperation between government and us as a private developer. Let's go ahead and jump to the next slide. Up back one, I think. There we go. So Valley Grove, it's going to be, at this point, planned on 36 different buildings. A good chunk of that being retail. We've got about 50,000 square feet of inline retail planned, 10 different retail pad sites. We currently have R&R Barbecue on one of those pad sites. Mountain America Credit Union is under construction right now on a pad site. We sold a pad site to the Utah Ice Center, and they're building that right now. So it's really evolving into a great retail-centric development. And supporting that retail, we've got about 600,000 square feet of planned, and a lot of that existing office space. So we've got 4 existing single-story office buildings, and we've got 2 more planned. And that's so our single-story product will be about 155,000 square feet. We also have planned 6 multi-story office buildings that will be about 600,000 square feet of Class A office space. And then the last thing to point out, we sold a 2.5-acre site to a hotel developer that has planned a True by Hilton hotel. So Valley Grove, which started out as a 21-acre acquisition, has just progressed and grown as land has become available surrounding this project. We've done our best to buy what we can to keep this project growing. Super, super excited about the success that we've had and the future of Valley Grove.